Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV here in Frederick, Colorado, and Happy New Year. Today's January 2nd, so we had the honor of being closed yesterday, so this is the first day of 2026 here for us at Transwest. And again, my name is Taylor. We're going to be doing a 2026 Winnebago EKKO 23B, so if you have any adventures or plans for 2026 to be looking at any Winnebago product line, feel free to give me a call. My information is down here, which is 970-388-7937. That is a textable number, my personal cell phone, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to help you guys out. But let's go ahead and start walking around the outside first, and then we'll end off on the inside. Let's go ahead and get on into it. All right, sliding on over here with our all-terrain tires. These are the BF Goodrich. We have our nice stylized blacked out rims with the Winnebago emblem. And as we work our way up, we have the bigger truck style mirrors, even though this is on a Mercedes, and you do have your nice little blinker on the side as well. And then as we work our way up here, we have our nice cab. It's very insulated and it has nice cabinetry in there as well, but we'll take a look at that once we get inside. One thing I did want to mention, even though this is a cutout chassis, you have your nice steel superstructure here. That's just gonna help with any of those tree branches when you're going out in the middle of nowhere to kind of help from any damage that you may encounter. Sliding over next, we have our nice windows here. These are tinted and it has a higher R value. Windows are typically the weakest point of an RV as far as that insulation. So Winnebago goes above and beyond to kind of help that from happening. As we work our way up again, we have our nice awning over here. That's the Carefree awning with the LED strip. And just above that, you have your custom roof rack that has 2 of the 215-watt solar panels up there. And then you have one 100-watt that is dedicated for that chassis. We'll go ahead and get into our storage compartments here. As you can see, they are double latched and you can lock them. One cool feature about this latch is when you do lock it, I know it's going to be kind of hard to see here, but once you latch it, it brings itself in to kind of help with that seal as well. Another cool feature too is this is the thickness of the whole shell of the RV itself. So it's kind of made of a honeycomb feature, which helps with the insulation as well. And then inside here, we just have the same thing that's going to represent the inside. It's nice and carpeted as well for that insulation. And you have a nice plasticky floorboard here just to keep it from getting dirty, and it's really easy to clean out. Go ahead and latch those up. We do have some charging exterior too if you needed to plug anything in, and then you have a pre-wire for a TV. So if you wanted to go ahead and entertain outside, you have the option of doing that as well. All right. Sliding over here, we just have our Truma AquaGo, so that's our tankless water heater. And below that, we have our 2 big propane tanks. I always say this in every video because I genuinely love that it's just 2 regular propane tanks that are just like a barbecue, so you don't have to take your coach with you to go ahead and fill it up. You can go ahead and just tank out these tanks, or if you wanted to buy extra tanks for longer adventures, you can go ahead and put that in the garage that we're going to be demonstrating next for you. But before we get into that, we have a nice little propane tap here for a barbecue as well if you wanted to go ahead and just use that instead of having to bring additional propane tanks for your barbecue. All right, now to the garage area. Everybody loves the EKKO because this is the only garage out there that is fully insulated as well as heated. We have our nice little lights here. Just with the click of a button, you can go ahead and light everything up. And then we do have some charging. This is just the outlet for our heater. The other one I can show you on the other side there, but it does keep it nice and heated. You have some tie downs down here, so you can kind of tie everything down, all of your gear, so it's not rolling around back here while you're traveling. And then you have your nice big molly board too, so you can go ahead and tie up all of your equipment as well. All right. Moving on over to the rear here, we'll go ahead and start in the top. I know I already told you about the solar panels, but just as a reminder, it's 2 that are 215 watts each, and then you have one more too that's just 100 watts each. So that's over 300 watts of solar up there. And then we do have our AC unit as well as our backup camera. Another little thing that to show you just how much Winnebago goes above and beyond. They did kind of use the exterior graphics here for that full body paint, and they even covered up our backup camera. So instead of leaving that black or white or whatever color it was, they kind of do little details here and there that just give it a better overall look. You do have your nice little exterior ladder here that will get you up on that custom roof rack, so you can go ahead and tie down any other cargo that you need up there as well. And then I love this storage compartment too, just because it is on a hinge here. So if it is really windy, or you know, the weather isn't as great, rainy or anything like that, you have this one that will just stay open for you and kind of dual as a little awning as well, honestly. And it kind of just gives you a nice little overview of that garage space as well. I didn't show you here that you have a nice little mat too, to kind of keep any of that, if you're going camping while it's snowing and it starts melting back here, of course, because it's heated, that kind of just helps keep everything clean back here. But here is that outlet for the heater, just so you can kind of see that heat point. And then no matter what side, if you have e-bikes or anything like that, you'll be able to plug those in on either side, so you don't have to favor one side to do that. All right, and to end off the rear, we have our 5,000 pound towing capacity here, that hitch with our 7-pin connector, and then you have a 500 pound vertical weight on that. And then if you wanted to tow a lighter tow vehicle, you have that access point as well for those brake lights. All right, now we'll move on over to our driver's side. We do have our nice, I always slaughter the word, but ACU cab. So this is going to be our awning. I really like having this. It's an option just because it kind of gives you a 360-degree awning, having it on this side, because it will latch all the way over here. Sorry, I should have pointed this out when I was on this side. But you'll go ahead and latch it right here, and it's just a manual awning that you go ahead and retract. It does have one leg, so you can kind of stake that down to kind of get it nice and sturdy. But this is an awning you know you can use in any type of weather, rain or high winds, just because of that other awning that was on the other side, that Carefree awning. If it does get really windy, you can damage it, so it'll bring itself back in, having that little sensor in there. So I like always having a backup plan. So there's that. And directly underneath that, we have our wet bay here. So as you can see, everything is nice and pretty and labeled for us. We have our water pump. Here's our just non-pressured water fill, an outdoor shower with a little hook, so if you wanted to hang your towel, you could do that. And then, of course, the color code. I love that as well, just because if you have full hookups, it's very easy and simple and straightforward, especially for the winterization as well. And then your gray tank is a little higher, so you don't have to go underneath the coach, kind of get on your knees or get dirty or anything like that. So I like how everything's higher, it's not tucked away. It just gives you a little bit more space to work with. And again, this is fully insulated as well. We have another heat source in here, so you don't have to worry. As long as you have that heater on, you don't have to worry about any freeze damage. And directly next to that, we have our ZAMP solar. So if you wanted some additional solar without throwing more panels up there, just because that will limit any of the extra space to use for your custom roof rack, then you can go ahead and just plug in those manual ones that fold out. And then you have your 30 amp shore power cord right here as well. Another cool thing about this is it will glow green to let you know that you have a healthy charge on either side. And then this is just the outlet for that Truma. Another cool thing about the Truma, it is very effective and efficient. Even though this is your external source, you will get some heat, but it does help keep all that heat on the inside. All right, moving on over to our other two storage compartments here. I'll just open them up together. So this one's actual storage. This is just over here for your pump. And this very last one is your big lithium battery. So this is going to be, I believe, 630 amp hours. It's just one single cell battery here for that lithium. And you do have your power button here. So this is glowing blue to let you know that it is on. We love lithium batteries just because they're super easy as far as maintaining. You don't really have to do anything to maintain them, besides as well as keeping them safe, making sure they're charged, and kind of learning all that has to go with the lithium battery. But I really like because it has a power protection mode, so it will just power itself off before it goes completely dead. So if it does do that for some reason, you'll just go out here, hold this button down for about 3 seconds, and then it will turn itself on automatically. So then you can go ahead and plug back in and kind of save yourself before it does go completely dead. So I kind of like having that. It gives you a nice peace of mind. And then before we wrap this side up, just wanted to show you that cassette toilet. All right, so So this doesn't have a black tank. It just has this nice cassette toilet that duals as your little black tank. But if you wanted to go ahead and double this capacity, you could actually buy these from Winnebago or through us if needed. But it's kind of nice because you don't need to go ahead and find a dump station. You can use it, just dump it right into a toilet or even into a porta potty. So that kind of just gives you the freedom of using it as needed and not having to track down a dump station. All right. Go ahead and open up this driver's door just to kind of give you guys a first little glimpse of the inside. You get all of the luxuries of Mercedes as far as the leather seats, the beautiful steering wheel, and of course all of the safety features as far as the active brake assist, lane keeping assist, attention assist, and then the traffic sign assist as well. Right over here is going to be your diesel fuel. So as you can see, when that door is closed and locked, so is your fuel, nice and protected. No one can fiddle with that. And then I'll just go ahead and pop the hood so we can take a few little looks at the chassis. But the seats are heated. I forgot to mention that. So that's just another luxury that Mercedes offers and Winnebago took the advantage of. Alrighty. So the Mercedes floor plan is a little bit more lifted, so you can see it's a little higher than normal, but everything is still very accessible. This is on the 2-liter high output turbo diesel, 4-cylinder engine and 9-speed automatic transmission with the overdrive 4-wheel ABS brakes. So we can kind of start over here and I'll point out a few things. We have our DEF fill right here, which you'll have a little light on the dash that will pop up to remind you to fill that. And then we have our coolant, which is directly above that. And then we have our oil fill and our dipstick over here, along with our windshield wiper fluid. But everything is pretty straightforward. All right, let's go ahead and take our first steps on the inside. Perfect. Before we enter, I just like to always point out we have the 6 hinges here, so that's a very heavy duty hinge. Honestly, just from the door, you can kind of, well, the screen door actually, sorry, you could shake the whole entire coach. Stuff like this just makes Winnebago stand out. Not every manufacturer does this, having this high duty screen door that's also double-sided for pets, and it also locks. So just quick little features there that I love. Perfect. As we work our way on the inside, we're going to go ahead and start in the very back here. Perfect. A lot of people like this bed setup, not only because it's a little higher, but it splits into 2. And then if you needed to sleep an extra person or you wanted to convert it into 1 bed, you're just going to use this piece and plug it in right here where my feet are. So I'm not going to do that and then end up putting my boots on top. But I always just like showing that, in addition to having this as a nice little separation piece here, so you can go ahead and put your drinks, put up a snack, and kind of just lounge back here and relax, so you're kind of not secluded to you having to use that dining area. You can come back here and relax too, so if the weather takes a turn, you have multiple areas where you can just relax. Down below here, we do have a few options for some storage, which I really like. And then you have, to move this little curtain, you have some hanging space down here, and that's also where the leg is stowed away for our table right here. This is just our insulated cover, which I'll show you where this buttons up. As you can see, it's kind of like a quilted material on the inside, and then this would be facing out the windows. But again, when we were talking about how the windows are the weakest point of a coach as far as insulation, they kind of added this so you can kind of help keep the heat in or the AC in, and vice versa. All right, one other thing I wanted to show you, of course, is all the storage up here, in addition to all of your charging. And then you do have your little night lights. You got a blue light and then a regular daylight. All right, to wrap up the sleeping space, I love the 2 big windows that are on either side. Again, these are kind of like the awning style windows. So you have multiple latches, but if you did just want it cracked and to also keep it locked, there is a nice little center divider here. So you can kind of lock every single latch to kind of still get a nice cool breeze, but having the peace of mind that it is still locked. You do have up to 3 settings here, so this is the highest, so you can kind of get that nice cross breeze. And then if you wanted to leave the bugs out, that's why you have that nice beautiful framing around your windows, is to kind of keep out all the insects. But if you still wanted some privacy, you can go ahead and black out the light there, but still kind of get in the nice cool breeze. Perfect. Lock those up. Alrighty, now we're gonna go ahead and move on over to our bathroom. This is something that everybody always loves seeing, and I always love showing, just because this bathroom not only has your sink, it has your toilet and a swivel wall here, but you do have a nice little window in the corner there that can kind of give you a nice little breeze too. So if you get a little claustrophobic like me, I don't like being in secluded places for too long. So I love having an option to kind of give some fresh air in there if needed. And then you do have a nice little cabinet to stow away all those bathroom necessities. I know it's kind of swinging open, but you do have a nice little button here so you can close that off if needed. Because if you are on unlevel ground, that sliding door, that is pretty squeaky, will kind of close in on you, but you do have that button. Now that we're into the shower here, then we have our nice little curtain, so you can go ahead and close that off. Speaking of the shower though, this is another reason why I love this bathroom configuration, is just because this sliding door closes over that toilet. So when you do use other products like the Solus or any other wet bath situations, your toilet always gets wet, so then you'll have to dry it off after using. This kind of helps just as far as the convenience aspect. Perfect. And then right above us, we have our AC, which is that low profile AC. So I just kind of wanted to point out, it's kind of centrally located in the coach, and it is vented. Here is just our little Truma controller, so you can go ahead and set the temperature as in addition to the time that you want it to turn on and off. So you can go ahead and set those settings there. These are just the lights for that bathroom, and then right next to this is just our light for the bedroom. You do have a nice little curtain here, so you can give yourself some privacy and close that off if needed. And then we do have that little table here, which I'll show you where it goes momentarily, but let's go ahead and get into that kitchen area. All right, right over here is just going to be our little pantry with the adjustable shelves. Nice and carpeted too, to kind of help with noise. We got our Greystone microwave that is also convection. Has all the new stuff in it, so the styrofoam and all that's in there. Down below here, we have our nice huge sink. So you have such a much bigger bowl than the Ford version. And then you have your beautiful kitchen window. We do have some charging, and then our water pump switch is right over here. And then directly under the sink, we have some additional storage as well. Few more drawers, and then this is just so we can use it at the very top, which I'll show you in a moment. All of our remotes, and then our true induction cooktop. Once you take the true induction out, if you did want a little bit of counter space, you actually plug this thing in here and it will cover it up to kind of help with your counter space. So I just wanted to show that briefly. Just put it back in this one. Just kidding, it won't fit in this one, my bad. It's gotta go in the third drawer. Alrighty. And as we work our way over here, I just wanted to go over all of the controllers. We have our Carefree awning, so you want to just make sure you turn that on before you try to use it. And then we have our step override, so if you kind of want it to be camp ready, so every time you close your door, the steps don't come in, you'll just go ahead and turn that off. Our coach battery disconnect, so you want to just go ahead and turn that on before you start trying to turn on any lights or anything like that. And then this is just all of our light features, and then we have some charging here as well. All right, now we will just jump in and look over here at our fridge. This is the Knorr cold fridge, and you have your freezer up top here. All of the shelves. Nice having a bigger fridge, and then above that fridge you do have a little bit of storage up ahead. And then this is where your solar charger is going to be, and then you have a nice little touch screen here to kind of show what temperature it is, your power source, and then the tank capacities. And then your Xantrax is close to that. Since we're already looking here, I know this does have a nice little latch here, but this is a pretty heavy duty door. Having this magnet and the latch is really going to prevent anything from opening while you're going down the road, and a lot of manufacturers don't do that, kind of having a double safety net in there to kind of help nothing to fall out. We have our nice little Winnebago emblem here that a lot of people use to go ahead and hang their towels to when they're in the shower, or they kind of get creative with it, but it does dual as like a nice little hook, so you can put all the dog leashes up there, or a jacket, or make it a coat hanger or anything like that. Alrighty, now that we're over here in our living entertaining space, we do have some storage too. We have our Winnebago handy dandy notebook, so that will kind of tell you everything you need to know regarding this unit. Again, another window, and this seating arrangement is kind of set up to be the couch. One thing I did really want to show is because you have your 3-point seat belt here. This is the only additional 3-point seat belt. So if you have a kiddo in a car seat, you do have a nice little tie down anchor here. And then on the other side, you just have the lap belts. So over here, it is underneath the cushion. You just have a lap belt. So you could seat safely up to 4 people. As far as a kiddo in a car seat, it's up to you, of course, but you only have one anchor. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. You do have plenty of charging up here as well. So no matter what side you're sitting on, or if you're trying to work in here, you're not limited to any of the charging capabilities. And then you have another storage compartment directly overhead here as well. All right, as we loop around, this is the part I was telling you guys about that is very insulated. This, again, isn't that honeycomb feature. It's just going to be the body. So Winnebago went above and beyond, and they really put some extra insulation in here. And then instead of this being like a cloth like other manufacturers, they did a vacuum bonded plastic. Just gives it a little bit more of an automobile feel to it. And then this is where those buttons come in, because you can go ahead and button up that insulation blanket that I was showing you guys back when we were in the bedroom area, and it goes behind the seats since these do swivel, so you can kind of get all of the heat or all of the cold, again, with all these windows right here to prevent any of that kind of coming inside of the coach. So that just kind of helps with your experience as well while you're using the RV. All right, right over here, this is another upgrade. So it's your Insignia TV. You have your entertainment system here with that Bose sound bar. And then, of course, some more storage directly overhead here with a nice little bungee cord, so you don't have to worry about things falling out on top of you while you're going down the road. Alrighty, now I'll just show you one other conversion you can have inside here, because you have so many ways that you can use this space, which makes it really nice. You do have your nice little table here that you could just buckle up. And if you needed an extension, you can go ahead and put that up as well. And then you would just convert this cushion that's right here and put it behind you. And then this one, you have to button it here, but I'm not gonna fight with it in front of you guys as much right now. But you button all those up so you can make it nice and flush. And then you can comfortably seat here with the car seat, have your 3-point seat belt, but also have a table so you can kind of play games, cards, or whatever you'd like. And then that second table I showed you guys earlier will come right here. It's much bigger of a table, so you can comfortably sit up to 4 or 5 people depending on the size to go ahead and sit in here, play cards, eat dinner or lunch, or host or anything like that. Alrighty, now we're gonna go ahead and just jump up front here. I'll turn on the coach. All right. Let it wake up really quick. Alrighty, so having all the luxuries of Mercedes, again, the seats are heated. You have your nice, beautiful steering wheel here with all of the gadgets as far as the cruise control and all the amenities to adjust your radio, answer phone calls, or anything like that. You got your LED dash. So the mileage on this one today is 878 miles. This is, again, a brand new unit, but it's driven from Winnebago to here. So that's kind of the best test drive you can have, because once it gets to Transwest, we still go through it top to bottom. We check the chassis, everything in the house to make sure it is in tip-top shape once it does deliver to our customers. So if anything did come up on that test drive, the driver always makes a note of that, and then we also have an inspection before we accept it in. So there's a very top tier process that everything goes through, even on new and even more so on used. So I just kind of wanted to let you guys know you have that peace of mind as well. Whoops, let me just cancel that. Looks like it's trying to load the Sirius, but that's not paired yet. All right, so now sliding on over here, we have just all of our little apps here for navigation. We can go ahead and pair our phone and radio, media, add additional apps if needed, and then just go into the information of the chassis and then also set things up as well. Down below here, even though you have a touchscreen, you still have some buttons, so you'll be able to do that while you're going down the road. I don't know, sometimes with a touchscreen while you're driving isn't the best, so I like having little buttons here as well. And then down below, we just have our heating and cooling. We got our hazard lights, endless amount of cup holders, and one thing I like to show too with the key fobs. Who hates when their key fob battery dies because you never know what it is? Well, you have a nice little charging source down here, so while you're going down the road, if you wanted to charge, sorry, I can't see it and I don't want to get in your way. It's down, here we go. You just plug it in right there and it will go ahead and charge that battery while you're going down the road. So it's just kind of a nice little neat trick. But that's pretty much gonna wrap it up. Besides the digital mirror, I'm so sorry, I forgot to say. You have the digital mirror back here, so while you're going down the road, you'll be able to see everything behind you. I know that's kind of like a newer upgrade, so Mercedes offers that, and it's very nice when you have that just because it gives you a peace of mind. But anyways, again, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns about any Winnebago product, or you just want to learn a little bit more about Transwest, feel free to give me a call at my information below. And thanks for tuning in.